Hey, this is Matt once again. What about in the videos? Another paid request. It's time for Aragorn. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And Aragorn wanted me to react to his list of his top 10 favorite video game consoles. Now, pretty much I'm looking at this list here, and if I made a list, that'd be tough. I mean, PlayStation 2 will probably be number one, because I looked at Resident Evil 4, Silent Hill 2, games like Cold Fear, Area 51, Rise of Honor, Disaster Report. There's a lot of games that I do love for that system. Evil Dead Fistful Boomstick. And then PlayStation 4 might be number 2. I love the system. I love the ability to be able to record on the system and then transfer it to the computer. I think that's a really cool feature. So PlayStation 4 would probably be number 2. And, plus, I mean, able to play Serious Sam HD and like all these other games on there for PS4. Liking games like House of Ashes, and I could play, I mean, Alan Wake was for 360, but I could play on PS4. Just pretty cool system. Number 3, maybe PlayStation 3, only because that got Dead Space 1 and 2, and I could play Direct Arcade on there. And I'm talking about video game consoles. But I didn't get in the Aragorn's list. His number 10 is the NES system. Now, I grew up with the NES system. I first, as a family, we had the Atari. We played a few games on there. I think Crawl we might have had. E.T. It seemed like everybody had E.T. Empire Strikes Back. I think we had Pac-Man. Like a few number of Atari games. But the Nintendo system, I remember enjoying quite a bit. The Super Mario Brothers games, the first Ninja Turtles game. Even trying to play games like the Karate Kid and Fester's Quest, because hey, there's no internet. It's the middle of nowhere on a farm. What else you gonna do? So I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna play this regardless. Sadly, didn't have games like Contra back in the day. I played Contra many years later, and I would say that's my favorite Nintendo game. Very fun, very addicting. Super Mario Bros. 3 is pretty up there. But his top 5 games for it is Castlevania, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Bros. 3, Contra, and Bucky O'Hare. I played a bit of Castlevania, it's pretty tough. Could never beat it. Legend of Zelda, never played. I played more of the Super Nintendo version. Super Mario Bros. 3, great choice. Same with Contra, another great choice. Bucky O'Hare, never played the NES version. Actually, I haven't played any of the versions. I know my friend Michael King on his video game channel Phantasm, he played the arcade version of Buck O'Hare. Never played the NES version. I don't know what my top 5 games for NES would be. That'd be pretty tough. But yeah, he has a number 10 at the bottom. It would probably be in my top 5 of systems. Maybe in number 5, give or take. Yeah, because I'd probably put Super Nintendo above it, so probably number 5. And Super Nintendo number 4. Number 4 and number 3. Between PlayStation 3 and... Well, I don't know. Let's still leave PlayStation 1 and... 2, 4... Maybe no. Maybe it would not make my top 5. Super Nintendo would be 5. I guess even though I grew up as a kid with Super Nintendo, throughout the teen years to adult, I played much more PlayStation. So I guess I'm much more of a PlayStation guy. So yeah, Nintendo at number 10. I guess for me, probably be like number 6 or something. Number 9, Xbox 360. Never owned the Xbox 360 when it came out. I think one of the reasons I always kept hearing about the Red Ring of Death. And so at that time, instead, I got a PS3. And, well, actually, no, I didn't get it. Someone sent me a PS3, which was very nice of them. To be fair, at that time, now that I think about it, I was kind of out of video games for a while. And a nice guy on YouTube actually sent me a PlayStation 3, which was very kind, very generous gift. Michael Escobar and his brother. So I was able to play Dead Space 1 and 2 and Doom 3 and other games. So Alien Isolation among others. So, but I didn't grow up with the system, but I did end up enjoying it. Xbox 360, I ended up buying one a few years ago, and even then I only touched it a handful of times because I decided to buy it at a pawn shop because, screw it, I got a bit extra money, I want to play Alan Wake, Condemned Criminal Origins, Serious Sam the HD Collection. But then the Serious Sam HD Collection and Alan Wake, they were on the PlayStation 4 digital you could buy and download. And even like Dead Rising, which I haven't played yet, but I think you could get that on the PS4 store, I believe. And so the only other game is Condemned Criminal Origins, which I did try. I was actually going to do a playthrough, but I got so bad at the game. I got my ass kicked so much in trying to blot that I got so frustrated. I said, fuck this, and I didn't play it again because I was so bad at the blocking, and I got my ass kicked all the time. Like, I just wasn't having fun with it because I was being really bad at the game. So, Xbox 360 I didn't play much like others. But his top 5 favorites are Red Dead Redemption, Halo 3, Ninja Gaiden 2, Fallout New Vegas, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Never played any of those games, never played a Halo game, never played a Fallout game, never played a Call of Duty game. I played Medal of Honor back in the day for PlayStation 1, but never played Red Dead Redemption. So that shows how far off the reservation I am in terms of games. Number 8, the original Xbox. Never owned it, never played it. His top 5 favorite games are Time Splitters Future Perfect, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Halo Combat Evolved, Ninja Gaiden Black, and Splinter Cell. Again, never played any of those games, so I can't say anything about them. I know of Splinter Cell because eventually Michael Ironside became the voice of the main character, Sam Fisher, which was very cool because I'm a Michael Ironside fan. But other than that, like I said, never played those games. And again, never owned the system. I think my friend Mike OCP did. Number 7, Nintendo 64. Had one probably in the... maybe around 2012, 2013, 14, like somewhere around there. And got one because it was cheap and it was curious and it was part of like a deal, but then really didn't have much games for it. And then as I started playing it, like Super Mario 64 was fun, but the controller, I was so used to the PlayStation controller, and I grew up used to that so much that the joystick and the buttons on the back, it just got to a point like, I just wasn't for me, the joystick wise. But the games seemed fun. Like, I never played Zelda Ocarina of Time. The only one I really played was the Super Nintendo, A Link to the Past. Star Fox 64, I played the Super Nintendo one, but never the 64. GoldenEye, I've heard all good things about GoldenEye. Even saw the documentary on it, which there's actually, that documentary got on Blu-ray for Vinegar Syndrome for those who want to buy it. So Vinegar Syndrome is selling that documentary on a Blu-ray with, I think, features on it. So it's called Golden Era, the making of the GoldenEye video game. Super Smash Bros. I've heard of, never played. Super Mario 64 I did play a bit of. Remember being fun, but I know that's going to take a lot of time out of your schedule, and again, with the controller and stuff, and sadly, I think it was just gave it away to someone who wanted it more, so that was fine. Because again, that was a time where I kind of, for a good chunk of time, just lost interest in video games, just wasn't really playing them for a number of years. Number 6, Sega Genesis. Never owned one. Did play it at my cousin's place. Played mainly the first Sonic the Hedgehog and I think one called Gunstar Heroes. I mean, I know a bit of Genesis games, reading about it and watching people play it. With the Retro Pi, which you could play a lot of older games, I remember eventually playing Splatterhouse 2, Splatterhouse 3. Really enjoyed those games. I would say those are some of my favorite Genesis games, but these Sonic 3 and Knuckles, never played that one. This is Aragorn's top 5 favorite games of the system. Eternal Champions, Is that the game I tried and I was absolutely horrible at? The fighting game. Streets of Rage 2, definitely heard good things about that. Ninja Turtle Hyperstone Heist. You know, even as a Ninja Turtle fan, I never played that game all the way through. It's actually on the PlayStation 4 Tower Bundle Collection. Maybe someday I'll do that. And Shinobi 3, which I never played, but cool choices. Again, of the ones I played, I would say Splatterhouse 2 and 3 would be my favorites. But number 5 for him, PlayStation 3. And his top 5 games are Metal Gear Solid 4, Uncharted 2, The Sly Collection, Demon's Souls, and Red Dead Redemption. Like I said, I've never played Red Dead Redemption. Never played it. I played one of the Uncharted games, but I don't know which one it is. Might have been the first one. I think someone sent me the sequel, but the disc did not work, so I couldn't play it. But I remember playing one of the Uncharted games and being a lot of fun, being entertained to play. But the others I haven't played. Metal Gear Solid 4 I've heard of. I've seen people play it. It seems like it's much more of a movie than a game though. Like it seems like much more cinematics than gameplay, and I don't know how I'd feel about that. PlayStation 3 games I enjoy because I do like the system. It would be in my top 5 as well. I would say PlayStation 3 games I would put. Let me look over here. That there. Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 1 and Alien Isolation and Doom 3. Those 4 would be on there. A lot of choices for the 5th one, but what would the 5th one be? Let's see, I have some PS3 games here. See, I mentioned Doom 3. Alien Isolation I mentioned. Maybe Evil Within. Maybe the Evil Within. Although I did like the Ghostbusters game. Didn't mind the Silent Hill ones, but I might say Evil Within. But so you can tell what kind of games I enjoy. Horror, or survival horror, or action horror. Number 4, Super Nintendo. Good choice. I mean, that's part of my childhood, the Super Nintendo. His top 5 favorite games are Chrono Trigger, Super Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World, Zelda: Link to the Past, Donkey Kong Country, and Ninja Turtles 4: Turtles in Time. Well, I have played some of these. Super Mario World I definitely played. I always go back and forth as to which I prefer, that or Super Mario Bros. 3 for my favorite Mario game. It's close. Mario 3, I like the worlds and how each one really has their specific themes, like Giant World and all that stuff. Super Mario World, I like all the hidden things you could do. They get to hidden levels and shortcuts, so you get to that star field thing to get a shortcut to get to the ending of the game. And I remember being so used to playing games on Nintendo, and the ending comes, it's just this little blip, it's over. When I play Super Mario World and go, wow, there's an actual ending and cutscenes and a journey, like these are all the characters you fought up against and met, and this triumphant music, and like, wow, it felt like it was, I beat it and here's my reward. So I remember that being etched in my head, like, wow. Nowadays is not impressive. I'm sure it's like, what's the big deal? But to me, I still think it was a big deal. Zelda: Link to the Past I enjoy. I don't know if it'd be in my top 5, but I do enjoy that. Donkey Kong Country I played more on the Retro Pi. I remember having fun with it. Ninja Turtles 4: Turtles in Time. Definitely my favorite of the Super Nintendo games. Love Turtles in Time. Very enjoyable. Top 5 Super Nintendo for me. Like I said, Turtles in Time would be number 1. As for the other 4, Maximum Carnage I really enjoy. That's a fighting game with Spider-Man. Love the soundtrack to that. That'd probably be in my top 5. I really enjoy Final Fight. I think that's a very fun game. Star Fox, I remember being really cool to play. I don't know, I'd have to think about that. His number 3 is Sega Dreamcast. Never played a Sega Dreamcast. Never owned one. I've seen people play it. I know of the system. His top favorites are Sonic Adventure 2, Power Stone, Soul Calibur, Crazy Taxi, and Ready to Rumble Boxing. Never played any of them. The closest to Crazy Taxi I played was the Simpsons Hit and Run, where you drive around and you do certain things, but then you do certain stuff out of the car as well. Because there's Simpsons Racing, but then there's Hit and Run, which had a bit more to it. But yeah, never played a Dreamcast, so... Again, I've heard good things about the system, and a lot of people find it an underrated system, but like I said, I can't say anything about it. Number 2, PlayStation 2, which would be my number 1. His top 5 are Metal Gear Solid 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, God of War, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and Resident Evil 4. I played God of War. At times a hard game, but a very fun game. Love Resident Evil 4. That's easily one of my favorites for the system. For me, Resident Evil 4 would be on there. Silent Hill 2 would be on there. And then for top 5, the rest would be, I would say, Evil Dead Fistful Boomstick would be on there. Cold Fear would be on there. And probably Disaster Report would be on there. There's a lot of that. I like Scarface. I like Area 51. I like Rise to Honor. And you know, the list goes on. Shadow of the Colossus. Like I said, PlayStation 2 is definitely my number 1 favorite. Metal Gear Solid 3 I didn't play much of. I just... As dumb as it sounds, I wanted to play as the actual Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid 1. And when it's... I guess I should play Metal Gear Solid 4, but it's just like... Each time it's like, okay, here's part 2, but then... he disappears halfway, and here's Raiden. I don't want to play as Raiden. Okay, here's part 3, but it's a flashback, so you're playing... It's the same voice, David Hayter, but it's a different Snake. Well, I don't want to play that character. Okay, here's part 4, but it's more cinematics than less gameplay. Well, it's always some type of thing that's like, I don't know about it. That's just me, though. But I've heard only good things about it, to be fair. And number 1 is Nintendo GameCube, another system I never owned. Never owned a GameCube. And his top 5 favorites are Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Sonic Adventure 2, Battle, F-Zero GX, and Resident Evil 1 Remake. Never played any of them, including the Resident Evil 1 Remake. I know. I've seen friends play it, but never played it myself. So I never played the GameCube. Would like to have played like Die Hard Vendetta and some other games on it, but just never played it. So like I say, if I made a top 5, I think PlayStation 2, PlayStation 4, and then PS3, PS1 would be in there. Just like PlayStation 1 I would put in on the list for Silent Hill and for Resident Evil 2 and 1 and Metal Gear Solid 1. That might be PlayStation 3. That's tough. Just PS3, I really like Dead Space 1 and 2 and Doom 3. But PS1 I'm more nostalgic for, because that's one of the systems I grew up with and played a lot. That's tough. That is tough. PlayStation 4 is, I think, really good for accessibility for a lot of stuff. God, that's tough. I have to think about that, but anyway, pretty cool list. So thanks once again, Aragorn. Take care, people, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.